Welcome to We'd Rather Be Reading. I'm Jerrica.
And I'm Lia.
What are we going to do for the start of our episode today?
We're going to do a sports cast, because this reminds me of the section scenes in the book we're going to read. So it's going to be, and here comes Jerrica, carrying Raven, and they're getting closer to go. Oh no, so close. But no, they're turning around again. And she has the ball puck, whatever.
And then simultaneous orgasm.
And she scores. Goal. Woo.
Welcome to this week's episode. We read Book Boyfriend, and what Leah's referring to was the narration of Book Boyfriend's section scenes. If you haven't listened to us before, our phones change the word sex to section, so that's why we call sex scenes section scenes.
Yep.
Now you're up to date. Let's get into it. I chose the book this week because it was short, and also because I read a book by another author, and at the end, and the book was phenomenal, and that was Things We Never Got Over. And at the end of it, the author wrote in her author's note, I just want to say that I started this book right after one of my best friends passed away, and he was the husband of Claire Kingsley, the famous romance author. And this is the third husband in our friends group who passed away, leaving 3 friends in their 40s widows.
That's just not okay.
That's
You're going to have to put a ban on dying
I immediately was like, don't tell me there was any car accidents. Like,
you're like, you're not allowed to die.
No.
These babies take too much time. You better stay.
Yeah, you better stay. And they all had babies, and they all had, all the things.
How can you do that? That is like, you have to deal with babies and a dead husband. No, I can't do it.
I know, so emotional. So then she was talking about that and how she can't imagine a world where this would have actually happened. And so that's why she had written that book, The Things We Never Got Over, because she wanted to talk about what is important in life, like the moments that we take for granted that we should be more involved in and not be holding ourselves back and stuff. So it got me interested in Claire Kingsley because I never had read any of her books before. But when I looked her up, she has 100 books. She has very many romance books, and they're all rom-com sort of chick lit style books. And one of the more popular ones that had a very cool cover was Book Boyfriend, and it's also one in a series.
He has my favorite kind of cover where we don't actually see his face.
Exactly, so you can imagine what he looks like.
But he's fully dressed. I'm missing some abs.
Yeah, there's no abs on this cover.
No. He should have had like the jacket, but then no shirt underneath.
But he should definitely not have had a shirt underneath. That would have been way better.
All right. So Claire Kingsley is an Amazon #1 bestselling author of sexy, heartfelt contemporary romance and romantic comedies. She writes books with sassy, quirky heroines, swoony heroes who love their women hard, panty-melting sexy times, romantic happily ever afters, and lots of big feels. I have to disagree with this.
Well, you've only read one of her books.
Yes, but her heroine was not sassy and quirky. The hero was maybe a little swoony. The sexy times felt like I was at a sports game.
There was one sexy time, though. I think that was the one with the ice cube that you're talking about. That I was like, well, this was a fantastic sexy time. And you're like, I'm not at that one yet. I'm not at a good one yet. And I'm like, wait is coming. There's one really good one in this book. And it was. But it felt out of place. We'll talk about this a little bit later, maybe. And the rest of the sexy time was very basic for what the characters were. And then that sexy time was very advanced. And I thought, well, who did these people just become? We just stepped onto like a professional site here. But the book is a very interesting concept, though. Not your typical boy meets girl, problems, fall in love, that kind of stuff. But the male character is a romance writer, but he's a romance writer under a female pen name.
Yeah, because he's Alex Lawson, and he's a sci-fi writer, and he works a mind-numbing job as a computer programmer while he tries to write his sci-fi novel. And then his sister is like, ugh, you're never going to finish this book. If you just want to read, like, if you want to make money off your writing, you should just write romance.
And in that, she says, because romance readers could read a book a day. And he's like, what the fuck, a book a day? People read a book a day? And I was like, hey, Leah, this is in the first, like, 15 minutes of this book.
Yeah, but she was excessive. It's like, how many books did you read? Like, when she goes on that first date, and he's like, oh, my favorite book is Moby Dick. I'm like, fucking shoot me. Who the fuck has Moby Dick as a favorite? Yeah. Anyways, and then she's like, I may not be a serious reader, but I read 27 books last month, and that was a slow month for me. And I'm like, right, maybe a little bit excessive. 27 in a month?
Yeah, but she's single, has no kids.
She also runs and manages her own book blog, and she has a full-time job. So I still maintain that this is a little bit excessive.
I don't know. Remember before last summer we were talking about if me and you went away on vacation together, how many books could we push out in 1 week? And we said probably 2 a day. So
which is
you're
true,
saying
because
this is excessive, but
I say it is.
We could do it.
I struggled with how she manages to have time for her book blog and her book writing reviews and all of this and that.
But we simultaneously listen and work. I wrote a newsletter this morning while listening to Rory in a Kilt, our next
So I'm guessing I'm going to look out for all the kilt references in your newsletter.
The letter is angsty.
And it's got some bairns in there and some of the Scottish terms. But I don't know, like this book, I felt like this author, and I'm talking not about Alex Lawson here, I'm talking about Claire Kingsley, who actually wrote this book.
Yeah.
I feel like I get a sense of who she is as a person by reading this book. I feel like she's fairly old-fashioned. I feel like she really, really likes it when she doesn't even have to reach for her fucking wallet and people just buy shit for her without her having to say even a proper thank you, but like having to be weirded out about it, which... As much as it's nice to be taken out for dinner and stuff, I still feel like this is something that if we're working towards a more equal society, we cannot expect men to always be paying for stuff. It's not like during dating and stuff. And this meet cute, I hated it.
When they bumped into each other in the book.
And he's like...
It was
let me buy your books. And it's not 1 book. It's fucking 4 books. So what is this? Like $60? You know? Worth of books? Like that's a lot. That's not a drink at a bar. That's like...
Actually, it could be a drink. It could be a couple of drinks at a bar, right? Like $25 a drink, depending on where you live. But this girl is supposed to be this quirky, clumsy... What's her day job? She's
in a medical something because...
Yes, she meets the father
and he needs... And this is also where I disconnect from books because I don't understand the United States.
No, true.
I'm like, he has to write romance novels. Like, he starts writing them, they become really popular, he makes money off of it, and this is great because then he can pay his father's medical bill because his father has back problems that require surgery. And I'm like, okay. So your father will lose his house... And he'll be drowning in medical debt because of something he has no control over. Like, I hate this. I find it so stupid. And then you have to write romance novels, not tell anyone, have a fake persona, lie to your whole family.
Yeah.
Like, it's the Breaking Bad situation.
I was just going to say, Breaking Bad took it to the next level.
Yeah, chemistry teacher gets cancer, has to make meth to pay for medical bills. Like, if this would have been Canada, chemistry teacher gets cancer.
Chemistry teacher gets help for cancer.
Exactly. System steps in and saves him. No death required. You know,
or Sweden too.
No, Sweden too. Yeah. But you know, if you want to go a little bit closer, but it's at all times. Like it's many times. It's at the buying of the books in the beginning. It's every date they go to. It's all the time. And she says it, I am so happy we didn't have to squabble over the bill. I am so happy I didn't have to. And I'm like, fucking pay for yourself, lady. Right. You know, because we've been told again and again that he is struggling to pay for his father's medical bills. Right. But now he also has to fucking buy this bitch books for $60, you know.
I don't know why you're like held up on this buying the books. Like, you know, the entire purpose of this book is to be a trope in a trope.
Yeah, but who the fuck buys books for someone else they just met?
But it's called Book Boyfriend. Because the main character is living in a romance novel with a romance novelist.
But imagine if you're at a bookstore and you've picked out a couple of books and someone's like, hey, let me buy those for you.
I would say yes, thank you very much.
Here, purchase my books. You don't expect anything in advance.
No, my mother has taught me well and good to never say no to help. And I will never say no to help. So
that's not help, that's bribery. Or, paying for something in return. It's not helping you. If he said, can I carry your books? That would be helping.
Okay. I mean, helping out by buying my books so that I can enjoy them without having a minus in my account. Sure. That's definitely financial help. And I loved that part of it. I had no problem with him buying her books. You need to let go.
All right. Okay, fair enough. I will drop this. But this book gave me some serious PTSD, though. And I think this is why I was struggling so much with it.
From a personal situation?
My husband made me read these horrible books around Christmas when he bought that terrible romance book for me, All the Feels, which was book 2 in a series. And I read the first one called Spoiler Alert.
Yes.
And there were so many... It's not the parallel, but it's like... In Spoiler Alert, she is a fan fiction writer for this famous TV show, and we find out that one of the main actors in this show is also a fan fiction writer for his own TV show, and then they're best buddies in the fan fiction world.
That's right.
And then they meet in real life, and he figures out quite quickly who she is, but he doesn't want to say it because his career might hurt from it, and then. When she finds out, she's like, you've been lying to me all this time. And this is exactly what happens in this.
Yeah, true.
So Alex Lawson starts writing books under a different name, which is Lexi Logan. Yeah. And as Lexi Logan, he sometimes talks to his fans. And then he strikes up a friendship with this book reviewer blog,
Bookworm
Babe. Which turns out to be Mia, our main girl that he then bumps into at the bookstore, uses a dating thing that she's been chatting to him about like, I wish someone would just buy me books instead of buying me drinks for a first date kind of thing.
Right.
And he uses this and she's like, swoon, this is exactly what I've been wanting.
But in this moment, he doesn't know who she is, and she doesn't know who he is.
No, but then he figures it out quite quickly and then doesn't tell her because he has shit to lose based on this.
Yeah.
If he tells her who he is, then she might out him. And then this, I don't know why it would be bad that he's a male romance author, but for whatever reason, this will be bad. So he can hurt his career, which will then hurt his ability to pay for his father's medical bills.
Right.
And then she will inevitably find out. She actually finds out right in the beginning of the book, because that's where we start. And then we jump all the way to the back.
Yeah, so we know what's going to
happen.
So
we know that she's going to find out about this. But she's like... She blows this so far out of proportion, but then he should have handled it different too, because he tries to be kind of standoffish and give her short answers when she writes, but she's like way too much, like TMI when she writes to Lexi about her dates and stuff.
Yeah.
And she does not pick up on the clues that Lexi is just answering like one word here and does not really seem interested, like no signal reading whatsoever on BD's
I didn't really believe in that friendship at all, like between the blogger and the author online, because his feedback was nothing.
Yeah.
And a friendship has feedback. A friendship has more than just one answer of, good for you.
Yeah, no, okay. For sure. And it was like, I think another thing that I struggle with this book is that she has no actual friends.
And she has no personality.
No, but she has no friends.
Nothing about her that was cool, important, special. She has no friends.
She was clumsy. That was literally her entire personality.
But clumsy? How is that a personality? I told you this. I was very annoyed at her clumsiness. I actually am annoyed at people's clumsiness in general. Even my tiny kids who are 3 years old and 5 years old, I say to them, non-stop body awareness. Like, don't knock over your glass. Look what's around your body at all times. Mm-hmm. Have awareness of your space.
And I mean, this can be hard. Awareness. Like, you can be clumsy. I mean, I can be clumsy from time to time, but it's usually I'm drunk or, I'm really tired. Yeah. There's situations where it's like, But if you're continuously tripping over your own feet, and this is the same, like in Twilight, Bella is described as extremely clumsy and she's tripping over her own feet all the time. And Edward finds it endearing kind of thing. And it's the same thing in this. So it's like, it's very much a tropey kind of thing, like, or a character, like, it makes her quirky because she's so clumsy she can fucking not even stand on her own feet. Like,
but I don't think it's quirky. I think it's, so irritating. Like, if a friend of mine was around and they, like, walked into the house and bumped into my shelf, knocked down some shit, walked into the table, spilled some juice, stubbed her toe on some, like, kitchen appliance or whatever, but I would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I would be concerned that there was something medically wrong with this person because you don't do that unless you are drunk or, there's something else wrong with you. Like, this is not normal behavior.
Right.
And then another thing that really bugged me, we should talk about the story soon, but the fashion in this book. Like, every outfit described was so ugly. And then he goes, she actually thinks he makes jeans look good. And I'm like, who doesn't make jeans look good? Like, jeans work on everyone. It's not one of those things like, look at him, he can pull off jeans. Like...
That is weird.
Yeah, but it's not a thing. It's so weird.
That is so funny. I actually think about it like farmers look good in jeans.
Everyone looks good in jeans. It is like, it's not a thing. But yeah, so this, and this book, on a little slightly different note, it made me realize that I really don't like when there's written descriptions of kissing, as in tongues sliding together. I hate that description. Yeah. I feel like you don't have to describe kissing in so much detail. Like, you can stop after, we're kissing. Like, I don't need much more on the actual mechanics of it. Like, it's not very sexy to hear about your tongues probing each other or sliding together or in the Rory book where I'm at, exploring the roof of his mouth.
Yeah, there is a lot of weird descriptions in that book. I cannot wait till we get to it next week. But in this book, what bothered me so much about the section scenes, not that there was too many of them or kissing scenes or anything like that, but it was that there was no backstory about who she is as, like, a woman or a lover or her history or anything like that. So, if she wants to sleep with him, and he sort of runs away, and then they end up sleeping together again. They end up sleeping together finally, and he's like, "Oh, you're so wet for me, baby." And I'm like, "Who is that talking to this person?" Like,
it's that, but it was also this whole thing made me actually pissed off.
Yeah,
because she expects him to pay for everything. She has all of these kind of old-fashioned kind of views on all of this, but when it comes to the sex, if he wants to wait, she's like, I am not okay with that. I'm going to be super offended that he doesn't rip my clothes off because I chose to wear my special panties. Like,
special panties.
She does not accept that he might not be wanting to have sex with her right then. Like, she gets, like, super insulted. And then, like, to the point where it's like...
sex kitten when she's, like, a clumsy weirdo in real life without a personality. And I just was like, it felt so out of place. Then when there was that one good section scene with the ice cube, I felt like the author got this story from somebody else and put it in the book as these characters, because it was so out of character for those two to be that sexy or creative in the positions and all of that kind of stuff.
And then, she has a cat. Okay. She calls Fabio, and she calls him an asshole. Like I have a cat. She can be an asshole occasionally, but I wouldn't refer to my cat as an asshole at all time. And I definitely would never even accidentally refer to my cat as my pussy, which she actually does at one point.
Yeah, you said that. I'm up on that.
When the cat's scratching on the door after the first date, and she's like kissing him, and then she's like, I have to go in and take care of my pussy. And then it's like, who says that, first off? And also, she does actually refer to her vagina as her pussy later on. So I'm like, do you use the same word for your cat and your vagina? That's also a little bit strange here.
I mean, she's not the only one in the world that calls cats pussies.
No, but she doesn't call him a pussy at any other point.
Okay.
It's just that once, because then it makes her seem like she's blurting out something inappropriate, which is her only personality trait, apart from being clumsy, is blurting shit out.
During this entire book, I felt like something was off. There was either some sort of editing issue or the narration editing. I couldn't really pinpoint it until you said that it was, in fact, because of the lack of personality and description of personality and history and stuff like that. And I think maybe that came into play with some editing as well, because the book was so short. And it got to the point, like, it told the story.
Yep.
But there was no depth to either character, and the section was out of place. Like, it could have been anybody. Like, it could have been talking about the neighbors having sex. There was no, like, attachment to the characters in any way.
And it's a lot like Mia, the main girl, is very hard on herself. She thinks she's weird when in fact she's just your average Sarah from Whistler. This is literally my notes.
Yes.
She's a clumsy person who should maybe see a doctor about that. She doesn't know how beautiful she is. I hate that trope. Like, she doesn't understand her beauty. And then she's low maintenance, which is like, I only need 5 minutes to be ready. And then he goes like, what was it he said? She doesn't know how beautiful she is because she doesn't care about makeup. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, if you're beautiful, naturally beautiful, you shouldn't care about makeup. Yeah. Whereas if you're ugly, you might want to,
put it all
on. Like, and then she's like, at that first date, she's all afterwards like, I screwed this up because I didn't invite him in. I'm like, first off, if you're on a first date and you don't invite them in for sex, like, that is normal, I'd say. Normal. Like, you should not have to sleep with someone on the first date. And if you choose not to, it should not be like, oh no, I screwed up. He will never, like, that is not
consent.
But that, and also if he only wanted you to sleep with you in that first night, then, it might not want to be that relationship,
Yeah.
And then she's really upset that he wants to take it slow. She should be understanding of him wanting to set his own pace and choosing, And then the narration during the section, when he was doing her voice, I just wanted to scratch my ears off. I did not like it. And I don't know. It made it sound like a sports game.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it's like 3 a.m. She's like, I want beer and pizza. And it's like, wow, dream girl wants beer and pizza at 3 a.m. And I'm like, how is that a dream? I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. I'm like, this is sleepy time. What are you talking about? Being up at this. They had a dinner date, for crying out loud. How hungry can you be at 3 a.m?
And she's like, no, I know this place. He's like, no, everything is closed. And she's like, no, I know a place. So she like often eats pizza
at 3 a.m. Yeah. And her... When the female narrator, when she was doing a kid's voice, I hated that. It was so bad. It was so bad. And then Mia keeps writing to Lexi as BB, but Lexi never initiates writing back to BB. Ever. She never starts a conversation.
Because it's not a real friendship. No. It's very strange.
But Mia doesn't have any friends, so clearly she's clinging on to this online fake person.
If some like blogger girl starts to message you, be like, oh, I went on this date. He did not stay up in my room. He left as soon as the cat hissed at him. It's like, hi, blogger lady. Thanks for the information.
Yeah. And then as she finds out that he's Lexi, and she like leaves and she will never be with him. He's so melodramatic. Like, I died. He will never be able to write again. And I'm like, really? And this is my comment. This breakup is dumb. And I hate that the book we're reading is the book that he's writing. Like, I've had this tropes before. I don't like it.
So he writes a book about their love story in order to make up to her?
Yeah. But I figured out, though, that because this book is the book that he's written about their story, this is why Mia has no personality, because he writes her. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's...
an excuse.
Yeah. The section in this book is like sports. He gets the ball and he dribbles past opponents running towards the goal. He shoots and he scores. Yay! And then at the end, they move in together. And there's a continuity thing because they move in together because the sprinkler system in her apartment goes off, soaking her whole house. But they will still take the couch from her place because it's more comfy. I'm like, oh, the super soaked ones. You know, because most couches will recover from being soaked fully. This is normal. Of course this will happen. Not.
So, yeah. It's a bit of a flop of the entirety of the story. I don't know if I'm going to continue to read other books, but
by Claire, I mean, I would give her one more try because maybe this is just a dud, but it is fairly highly rated, which makes me think that there are more idiots in the world than I realized.
I'm not sure if it's idiots. I think it's just fans, you know, like these are, she writes a lot of books, and it's not that it was bad. There was one good section scene, and I think I will remember that, but I will not remember their names. With the ice cube? I will not remember their names, and I will not remember.
I was a little shocked by that one.
Right?
With the ice cube.
I know. It goes inside.
And then I was like, it's going to get slippery. How does he get it out? And then he puts it in his drink. I was like, but it was.
I love all of that.
Can I talk a little bit more about Mia?
Yeah, sure.
Mia is set up on a blind date in the beginning of the book.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is a guy who comes in and they're ordering things, they're going to have drinks, they're going to have dinner. And he orders vodka and she orders wine.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, whatever you ordered says a lot about you as a person. And she's like, well, fuck, he's going to be an alcoholic if he's ordering vodka
straight up
with food. You know, like, who the fuck are you Russian? You know, like, I don't know.
And this is something you would bring up either. If your drink is just plain vodka and you're like, oh, drinks tells this something about a person. It's like, that you're Russian?
And also, like, wine, it means... And he has all of these reasons for what wine means. I'm like, no, wine means nothing. It means you're ready to have food with your drink, you know, that kind of thing. And then, so she has this whole thing about how he might be an alcoholic and how this is stupid. But then she goes on a date with Alex and he orders whiskey with his food. And she's like, oh, yes, this is good.
Yeah.
And not even like... Maker's Mark whiskey. It's not even like...
It's basic.
Top shelf single malt or something. It's like the average of the average. Here we go. And she's like, oh, he's so sophisticated.
You know what? You could drink whiskey with your meal, but you absolutely cannot drink vodka with your meal. And then
it's also... I find... Maybe it's just... We don't have a big drinking culture like in my family or anything like that. Like hardly ever drink. Occasionally, very rarely. But in this book... Alex's dad drinks his nightly whiskey when he's like in pain with back thing, probably on medication, and his whiskey gets bigger by every night. That's what he says. And I'm like,
an accumulation whiskey drinker.
And I'm like, this does not. Is it supposed to be like his nightly dose of whiskey? I don't know, like. Maybe.
I do know people who have nightcaps. I don't think that's absurd, but if it accumulates every day.
And if you're on lots of medication, it's just that. It's that too. And I mean, you drink, you do you, man. Like, as long as you're not an alcoholic, it's probably fine. But
yes.
it just strikes me as odd. I think it's on the same level of... Why would it cost $50,000 that your insurance doesn't cover for you to have surgery that you need? Like,
true.
Like, it's the same level of bafflement for me, kind of being like, why? I just don't understand.
No. But we're not American, so we have to give that a pass as well.
We'll give it a pass. But I would not recommend this book.
No.
I gave it 2 stars. So 1 more than Beauty and the Brits.
I gave it 3 stars because I think that there was really good parts in it and then other parts that just totally flopped, like with the lack of personality in the characters and lack of interest that I had in their relationship as well. But there was blocks of it that it should be now in other books, you know, for other characters that suit those parts better.
But it's the classic, she's so special. And I'm like... How? Why?
Sarah from us. Okay.
Why is she so special?
Because she hurts herself when she drops things
because
all the
she
time.
stumbles on her own feet and she can't pick up a glass.
She's special
she is
because
special.
She literally cannot hold a stack of papers. She dropped books and papers like 40 times in this book.
Yeah. And coffee. And he has ninja reflexes because he can catch anything she drops. He's
caught very many things.
And then during one sex scene, he actually gets like scratched by the cat.
Yeah, that was hilarious. He's like, fuck. And she's like, that doesn't sound like a good fuck. And he gets up and the cat has jumped on his back and scratched the fuck out of him. Hilarious.
That was funny though.
But
I'd give 5 stars to Fabio.
No. Fabio the cat. 5 stars. You're a winner.
Yeah. But then it was also like a weird relationship with the sister for Mia. Like she was very critical of her sister in a way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the sister said to Mia, like, you're all right looking. Like, what kind of fucking sister says that to their family?
I mean, either siblings say you're butt ugly, go away.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're gorgeous.
But she's like, how do I look in this? And she's like, no, she says something like,
but that's
I guess somebody could think you're pretty.
But I mean, it's probably because she has the worst fashion sense ever. Like some of those outfits was like, really? She had a newspaper print scarf with a t-shirt that said Namastay in bed and jeans. And I'm like, a blue t-shirt that said Namastay in bed.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
It was described.
Cool. Namaste, I will be at the yoga studio. I'm not going to sleep in
with
bed.
a newsprint scarf. Like, I can't.
Newsprint is weird.
Yeah. Do you actually read the articles to make sure that they are appropriate for your
Can you imagine it's like a Nazi scarf and you don't even know?
No. All right. So next week we are tackling Rory in a kilt.
And you better get going on it because he is 12 hours long. And it is 1,000% from his perspective, which I have so much to say about it next week.
And I like
it.
Rory.
Is the story from Rory. The first scene, you have to just let it go because it's not great. And it's going to make you not want to continue reading
the book. And I mean,
book.
I made it past it, which is, strong because, well... Yes. I hate that kind of stuff.
You hate that kind of stuff. And immediately you were like, oh, I think we're going to have to pass on this.
Yeah.
You listen and tell me what you think. And then I listened to it and I was like, there's got to be another part of the story. Yeah. It's 12 hours fucking long. It can't just be about this sleazy guy
but
hooking
I'm
up
4 hours in now and I'm all in. I am kind of in love with Rory myself.
I am infuriated.
I would reform him.
No, I cannot be with this man. I have no patience for him. He would be out the fucking door in a second.
But I would fix him. It's all good. All right, so next week, happy reading.
Yes, happy reading.
Bye. We'd Rather Be Reading is an original podcast by Jerrica and Lia. The music for The Penguins, written and performed by David Allred from the album The Transition, courtesy of Erased Tapes. Please check him out on Spotify and check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at We'd Rather Be Reading and on Twitter at We'd Rather Read. You can also email us at we'dratherbereadingthepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.